Angel, Angel, you haven't met Jack Holton. He's a nice person. He's traveling a lot of places. I hope you do also. Angel, that's Jack. Okay.
In that region. And that is in response, as you know, to the continued attacks on U.S. troops and the deaths of 3 U.S. soldiers in the drone attack in Jordan last week. Very unfortunate, very sad. And here's the problem. The Biden administration has waited almost a week to actually make a response to that to that attack in Jordan. They telegraphed what they were going to do beforehand and made it very clear. And they couched it in rhetoric that made America seem weak and not very committed to deterring this kind of action in the future. So let's break those down. Let's talk about that. First of all, the United States wanted to put forth a measured response. They have been obviously all over Israel to try to get Israel to be more proportional in their response. And proportionality, when it comes to this region, is a sure way to project weakness, because Palestinians and Arabs in general, they understand one thing, and that's brute force, that's strength. And so to do anything that, from an American mind, from an American mindset looks like reasonableness, being reasonable about this, ends up being perceived as weakness in the region. And that's exactly what this shows, is that the Biden administration is not very well versed in the culture of the area. They don't understand how things work in that region. And so what would have been a strong, forceful response would have been an almost immediate response that was overwhelming in its force, that was highly disproportionate on purpose. Moon's Family Fishing says, is America encouraging migration for military use? No, I don't think that the U.S. government is intending to bring in migrants so that they can sign them up in the military. There has been some suggestion of that made in the Congress and the halls of power in Washington, but that is not going to go anywhere. It's not a good idea, and we're not going to be putting illegal migrants into the U.S. military. That isn't even really possible to do. You'd have to first make them legal residents before you could do that. Legal residents who are not actual citizens of the United States can join the military and can get citizenship in the United States after 2 years of service in the United States military. And I've been to several of their ceremonies where they took the oath of citizenship. And that's a different thing. Putting illegal migrants who just recently crossed the border from Venezuela or something into the U.S. military is never going to happen. So don't get upset about the rumors of that taking place, because it's not going to happen. Now, the United States telegraphed its response beforehand, saying, we are going to strike. We have decided where we're going to strike. And although they didn't say the exact locations where they were going to strike, everybody knew pretty much where. I mean, if you're in one of those Iranian-backed militias in Iraq or Syria, you're going to, as soon as they say that, you're going to expect bombs to start dropping any minute on your location. So what happened? All of those Iranian-backed militias pose warehouses, storage facilities, they said headquarters elements, things like that, headquarters bases, things like that, headquarters bases, things like that, bases where they had done their training and stuff. But again, if everybody left and nobody was there, then you're really not harming them that much. They can get more arms and missiles and stuff from Iran. So take a look here at this strike. If we look at the video from this strike, what you see is these rocket-looking things flying up into the air, look like fireworks going off. Those are munitions that are cooking off. Okay, so if you look at these, I'm going to go back up here. Let's rise and bright. Okay, so if you look at these here, what you're seeing, these things that look like fireworks, are munitions that are cooking off after the strike. That means that what that tells you is the United States actually did hit something of consequence, because we broke some of their things. We destroyed some of their weapons in the process of our strikes. So that's not a bad thing. But again, all they have to do is just go back to Iran, and Iran will send them more. So we're not striking the source of these munitions, we're just striking the end storage depot before they get sent out to be shot against US troops. So it's like taking the low-level drug dealer off the street corner and not bothering with the guy who's actually distributing the drugs or cooking the meth or anything like that. That's essentially what we've done here. And so is that going to be effective in stopping the attacks against U.S. troops? Absolutely not. No, it will not. If anything, it's just going to further embolden and anger the guys on the ground. It's not going to make them hate us anymore, because they can't hate us any more than they already do. But it's going to certainly stir them up and motivate them to go get some more weapons and start shooting those against U.S. forces. It makes them feel justified in what they're doing. We're legitimizing their attacks against U.S. troops. As opposed to immediately striking, if we had immediately struck against those places after this attack, when there were still people on the ground and we had wiped out mass numbers of their forces, that would have been more of a deterrent. Because when these people see their buddies dying all over the place, they're going to start looking around and go, maybe I don't want to be next. You know what I mean? So the fact that the United States has struck 150 sites is kind of underwhelming. It is certainly not going to be a deterrent in any way, shape, or form to the militias or to Iran. The United States is very concerned about escalating this conflict, and so Lloyd Austin has been coming out and very clearly saying we do not want a wider war in the region. We do not want to, further inflame tensions, whatever. And if you translate that into Farsi, what it sounds like is we are afraid and want to make Iran mad, and so we're not going to strike at Iran, even though we know that Iran is the source of all of this violence, including the attacks on October 7th. So we know that all of this is traced back to Iran, the Houthis, the Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed militias, the Shia militias in Iraq and Syria, the Palestinians. It's all on Iran. Set the stage here. We're going to strike some things, but we don't want to actually make anybody mad. This is the reason that the United States has been losing wars for the last 20 plus years, is because we've gotten into this very unfortunate mindset of we have to try to win the war without actually offending the enemy. And I will say that again, because this is what it comes down to. You cannot win a war if you try to do it without offending the enemy. And that is exactly what the United States has been doing for nigh on 2 decades. And so that's unfortunate. Iran is going, this is going exactly the way we hoped, right now, because Iran has not had to pay any kind of price for this. If anything, they have elevated their status among the jihadis of the world. And, there's a competition going on in the Muslim world right now between Turkey and Iran to see who will lead the new caliphate when Islam takes over the world. And both of them want to do that. Well, you could say ISIS is also in there, but ISIS is now subordinated under Turkey through the Free Syrian Army. And what you are seeing is Iran being ascendant in that conflict, in that competition between Iran and Turkey. So we are assisting Iran in accomplishing its goals in the world. Iran knows it can't destroy the United States, but it is leveraging the United States. It's poking the bear, so to speak, poking the eagle, and to try to get us to do exactly what we are doing. And nobody in the Pentagon or the White House is smart enough to see that we are being played. And it's really unfortunate because it has put American troops at great risk and has resulted in the deaths now of American troops in the region. And unfortunately, they're probably not the last ones that will die. And because we've not done anything to deter any further aggression by Iran, we are only encouraging them. And until we have the political inclination, the political courage to stand up to Iran and take decisive and overwhelming action against Iran personally, none of this is going to stop. Israel may be the way for us to do that if we really wanted to go hard against Iran. What we would have to do would be to what we would probably do would be to give Israel the go-ahead to conduct airstrikes inside Iran. And Iran does not have the capability. They have a very large terrestrial ground force. They have a very large army, 500,000 people, larger than the United States active duty army right now. But they do not have the power to project their power, their military might, to Israel or beyond, other than to do what they are doing, and that is funding proxies around Israel. And so the United States should absolutely, if they want to stop this, this is what they're going to have to do. Now let's talk about the other idiotic thing that the United States is talking about doing, and that is recognizing a Palestinian state before one even exists. They just want to, ipso facto, we're going to say that Palestine exists, and we're going to recognize them as a country. And we're going to, now somebody said, well, where would that country be? Would it be in Sinai? Would it be in Iraq? No. They're talking about recognizing the West Bank and Gaza as a country. That would be disastrous for U.S.-Israeli relations, because that would be like Canada recognizing, the eastern third of the United States the western third of the United States as Californistan. That would be exactly like that. That would be exactly like Mexico saying, we are going to officially recognize the entire Southwest as Aztlan, which is a throwback to the times when Mexico actually owned that area. We're going to recognize it as its own country. And we're going to allow them to start issuing passports and visas and stuff like that. Now, that's a non-starter with Israel. It's also a non-starter with the Palestinians. The Palestinians have said, we will not accept a Palestine that does not include all of modern-day Israel. Well, that's obviously a non-starter for Israel. And so how do you, I mean, you don't jumpstart this process by just, deciding to recognize a state that doesn't even exist, bring one into existence. They're trying to play God here. You can't speak it into existence. And by trying to do so, they could easily cause a wider war in the region. That would be the way to do it. It would be very, very dangerous for the United States to try to do that. Now, they've been talking about it. That you understand that the government often talks about doing things that it has no plan to actually do. But it does that to try to move the ball one direction or another, move the Overton window, so to speak, what's possible, and to influence other people that we're trying to influence. So who are we trying to influence here? Not the Palestinians. We're trying to influence Israel. We're telling Israel, you need to recognize the Palestinian state, or we're going to do it for you. Okay? So, not sure what to say about that other than that's a really, really bad idea. Very bad idea. And so we are looking at that problem from exactly the backward point of view. What we need to be doing is putting sanctions and political pressure and maybe even military pressure on the Palestinians themselves to stop the violence against Israel. And if they could stop the violence against Israel, then this problem would go away. Do you understand that? I mean, I often used to say that in Afghanistan. The Taliban just doesn't realize that if they would just stop attacking us for a couple of months, we would just pack up and go home. There wouldn't be anybody to fight anymore. But they just keep blowing up our vehicles on the side of the road, and so we have to stay and fight until Joe Biden just decides to unilaterally declare that the war is over, which means losing the war. So the Palestinians, they would even be able to declare victory if they just stopped killing Israelis for that long. Just voluntarily stopped killing Israelis, the fight would go away. You realize there was a ceasefire on October 6th, and that ceasefire was broken by Hamas. I was in the airport yesterday coming home, and there was a girl wearing a Free Palestine t-shirt, and it was all I could do as I walked by her not to engage her in conversation, because that probably would not have gone well. And so I played that game of, can you shut the heck up, and just grit my teeth and kept walking. But it's unfortunate that there is so much ignorance out there about this issue. And that's why I'm trying to do this. That's why I'm trying to keep coming on and talking about Israel. So let's answer some questions so that we can, because I'm sure we've got some questions here. Let's see here what we got. We got some people saying that the streaming is good and some people saying the streaming is not good. Doing the best we can, that's all. Where's Antifa? Did they quit? No, they're being paid. Antifa gets paid to travel around the country and cause trouble. There are donors who fund Antifa. And how do I know that? Because I see the exact same vehicles at all the Antifa rallies that I've been to. They put lots of, Antifa guys love bumper stickers. So it's easy to recognize their vehicles from one place to another, and they travel all over the country. Going to Black Lives Matter rallies, going to whatever. They're not really active right now because they have a Democrat in power, and the Democrats don't want them causing trouble. But gets voted in as president, Again, Antifa will come back full force and they will start burning down America again. So let's see. Okay, I'm looking for questions here. Let's see. Does your body, mind, and soul feel loved, or do you hurt from all the pain you carry around by choice? I don't think Share Bear is talking to me in that particular comment. Let's see. Please go hit that like button. How about if I testing 1, 2? Maybe the audio will be a little bit better here.
Angel,
Visa holders in the strong line.
Angel, you don't have a question. Okay, so you heard him. Okay. Okay, so we'll see you next time. Bye the check.